Good.
I hope the throw last. Can everyone hear all right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, I often get asked, what gives you the right to stand up and think that you can teach me everything? And then I thought, well, if knowledge comes from making mistakes and learning by your mistakes, I am the most intelligent, knowledgeable person you're ever likely to bump into, because I've made them all. In 1988, I decided to lift my family and go and live in Australia. And I would show them Aussies a thing or two about business. And I arrived in Australia with two 20-foot containers with cars and furniture and everything. Bought a lovely house, set up in business, and I was going to carry on doing what I'd been doing in the UK, which was renovating property. And I'd done very well out of it. Then all of a sudden, my cousin, who was a bricklayer, said to me, "Croz, you can't do that over here. You need a license to do that in Australia." So without checking anything, I decided to do something else. Now, the first lesson that you've got to learn is don't listen to people that don't really know what they're talking about, because you don't need a license to do it. And my life changed through doing something that I shouldn't have done. I went and bought a business, or the nucleus of a business. I'd never ever done that before, always built them up. Anyway, I got hold of the business and we kicked it into shape, and we were earning a fortune. It was crowd control, bouncers, and we used to do public meetings, sports events, nightclubs, looked after all the pop stars when they came over to Australia, and as bodyguards and all that sort of thing, and we had it rocking and rolling, absolute earning a fortune. And I took a lad off the door, made him up to be operations manager, and took a backward seat, let him get on with it, because if you're going to employ someone, it's silly looking over their shoulder and running the business, and you're just doing their work for them. So I just let him get on with it. And he did very well, but one Christmas, I got a phone call. He was round my house at Christmas with his wife, and I got a phone call on January the 5th from our major client. "We don't need you anymore, we're going with a new company." "Oh, no, it's all right, we're just going with a new company." Then a couple of hours later, another phone call. "We don't need you anymore." I said, "I better get Mike on the phone here, sort this out." Guess what? Mike ain't answering. Right? Guess who's the director of the new company? Mike. Right? So overnight, I had lost my business. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you've got to keep an eye on things, but what my mistake was, that I give him too much space, and I should have gone and seen all our clients as the owner of the company and sort of kidded to them, had barbecues with them and made them my pals, rather than leaving it to him. Anyway, lesson learned. So there I am now, no business, and absolutely in bits. And this is before I learn what I'm going to hope to give you a little bit of a foresight on tonight. I was in bits. I was absolutely gone for all money. Stress wasn't in it. I was floating 2 inches above the ground. And then I sold everything I had, and I had $250,000. Now, I thought I was skinned, because where I'd fallen from, 250 grand wasn't going to cut it, right? But everyone else thought I was rich. So, lesson number 2, it's a perspective. Your perspective on life is obviously different to other people's, so make sure that you're actually sure of what you're thinking. I thought I was skinned, so we had to do something. Now, in a former life, we'd been in the hospitality industry, and I said to my wife, of 50 odd years, "Darling, if I ever mention getting involved in the hospitality industry again, would you please get a big baseball bat and beat me over the head with it?"
Couldn't find the bat.
Unfortunately, she couldn't find the baseball bat. So we ended up building this dessert restaurant. and we couldn't knock the 250 grand out quick enough. On the windows we had all the etchings. We weren't going to make do with stick-on stuff. We had etched glass, sandblasted etched glass. Because when you're deciding whether to have a chocolate dessert or a cream dessert, the sandblasting on the windows makes all the difference. So lesson number 3, don't get carried away in logos and doing things and thinking that extra bit's going to do it. The only thing that makes a business happen is the engine, right? You are the engine, okay? So it's you. You get stuck in, and all those other little bits will come on if they're needed, but you'll find out if they're needed. So we get a dessert restaurant, which was great fun setting up, because the vision, all the lovely booths and everything was all done, it was great. Got it all set up, and 2 years after we'd done it, working 80 hours a week, right?
Each.
Both of us, 80 hours a week each, to stand still. All we were doing was paying the staff, the rent, and all the other bits and pieces. Lesson number 3, it's called sunk investment. When you're making a decision about a business, forget the money and the time that you've invested, because it will make you make the wrong decision. You base it on, is this serving me? Is it earning money? Right? And you make the decision based on that. Don't make it based on the things that aren't really relevant, because the effort you've put in has gone. The money you've put in has gone. If it's not earning money, right, the odds are it's going to go that way rather than that way, because your head's gone. So after 2 years, 250 grand investment, 80 hours a week each working, I went and give the keys back. The lucky thing was that they tried to palm us off with a 10-year lease, but I wasn't having that. I'd negotiated 15 years. So I've got 13 years left. Now, if he wanted to chase me, that was millions of dollars. But fortunately, I had a good relationship with him. I said, you've had everything, you've had my house, I said, you've got nothing, chase me through the courts, do what you like. And we didn't even get the invoice for the last month's rent. So that was that. So I learned an awful lot in that time, and I like to think that the life that I lead now, as I've learned from all the mistakes that I've made. Now, there's an old adage that 4% of the people, right, get hold of the money apparently easy. Who knows the bloke up the street who everything he touches turns to gold? Everything he does is all right. Would you like to know why it happens? Eh? Would you like to know? Because there's this big imaginary wall, right? And over this side you've got the 4%, and over this side you've got 96% people that are struggling, right? And every time they're just about to get somewhere, there's something in their way. Every time they try and do something, something happens. So, anyone who's seen me before will be able to tell you what that is. What's that? The brain. Not to scale, but it is the brain. Okay, that represents your conscious mind, and this represents your subconscious mind. Now, through your life, you are programmed. Whether you like it or not, every single person in this room has got a different program. But the unfortunate thing is, you all started with the perfect program, and we spend all our life fucking it up, which is a bit silly, isn't it, really? And I put a post up the other day, I said, spend as much time with your kids, because they still know all that you've forgotten, right? When you're a child, the best thing you can have to be a success in life is the ability to imagine something in the future and live it. No trouble when you was a kid, did you? Right? And now, the only thing you can imagine now is all the things that go wrong. Right? Easy, isn't it? Imagine all the things that go wrong, give yourself stress, anxiety, depression, it's easy. But when I say to you, the secret is to think of something good and latch onto that, enjoy that now, you can't do it. Because you're programmed to self-destruct, because you're programmed to say, well, I don't know how that's going to happen, so it can't possibly happen, right? How it happens isn't important, that's not your job. Your job's just to know what you want to do. Does that make sense? Right, So you're programmed through your life. You've got your mum and dad. And mum's got a bit of a frown there because she's having a party. Mum and dad, they brought you up. Okay? Now they haven't meant you any harm, and none of the people out there that have programmed you mean you any harm at all. They're all trying to help, right? But mum and dad, as soon as you can start walking and you put your chocolatey fingers all over the white three-piece suite, what happens? You get up Arceus and buy one of them pens. Get a little playpen, prison, with the bars on it, you plonked it there. So where you're as baby, you're programmed to go searching about and experimenting, you've been locked up. Then you start walking up the high street and you start asking questions. You can talk now. What's that? What's that? Why does that happen? What do we say? Shut up. So there we go. We're only 2 years old, and that's what's happening. Our program is being ruined, right? Then it gets worse. We get up the pub and we meet Bill. Who knows Bill up the pub? Knows every bloody thing, don't he? Hey? You're over there, you've just had an house design, and you've got all the plans out, and all the mates around you going, yeah, I'm having them coloured tiles, and we're doing that. Billiards from the other side of the bar. Something going on over there. He barges his way to the front. Says, what's happening, Mush? Well, I'm just showing the people. I wouldn't do that. I'd have that over there and I'd put the driveway. Bill, an architect's just done this. You went to university to learn how to do all that. What are you going to do, Bill? I thought you was a greengrocer. Yeah, but I still wouldn't do that. Right? So we listened to Bill. And then we listened to If It Were Me. Who knows if it were me? Up the pub. Ooh, I wouldn't do that. If it was me, I'd do this, I'd do that. So you're getting the idea. We're getting all this programming from all these people, okay? Now, your programming gives you the ability to think and answer in A. You're programmed. So provided that everything you hear works out and follows A, it's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're programmed. It doesn't matter what you do now, that's your program. A. But then all of a sudden, some silly old bastard with grey hair and a beard pokes his head over the fence and he says, oi, I can help you. Yeah? I know what you do, what you've got to do. Yeah? What have I got to do then? B. What? B? Yeah, B. That's all there is to it. If you start thinking B, right, and getting rid of all these bloody voices, things will change, right? Are you sure? Yeah, right, give it a go. So he says, do this. And where do you go for your answers? Mum and Dad, aren't you, Bill? If it were me, fill up the pub, and you come back and it says piss off. Right? That's the answer you give. The guy's just giving you the complete system, right? That's how simple it is, guys. Change this, you change your life. But you can't. It can't possibly work because my brain won't accept B. Well, why not? Well, it just won't work. But why won't it work? What bit of it have you done that ain't worked? Well, none of it, but it won't work. So, you put in B in, and you're getting A out. So you are doomed to be stuck this side of the wall until you change all this. So, what happens? If someone on this side of the wall with B programming happens to fall onto this side of the wall, guess what? What happens? What do you think happens? In no time flat, because they're programmed B, they get back over here. Because it's all about programming. You are your own worst enemy. Because you get information, you get told something, you get advice, and you reject it. Okay? For no other reason, a lot of the time, it's the easiest way through. How long we got, Matt?
Oh, mate, you got another 7.
Lovely. Just exactly the amount I needed. Right. So, there you go. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
You have got to take on new information that is available at all my workshops, and it's running on the 5th. Not an advert, just a bit of information. But,
One pushy Sarah.
so, who wants to know very, very quickly the perfect recipe for guaranteed success?
Yes.
It cannot fail.
Yeah.
Do you know what the problem is? It's B information. Right? So prepare yourself. This is as simple as I can make it after 25 years. CMI, your clear mental image. Something that you had no trouble at all doing when you were a child, but now you can't do it. The only thing you can think of and picture in the future is something that you can work out how it's going to happen. So you're creating a goal of something you want and think you can get, not what you can get, because you've got to stretch yourself. Quick test, cast your mind back 10 years. Mentally go back 10 years. Could you imagine that you're where you are now, 10 years ago? No. It would have been the biggest stretch imaginable, wouldn't it? And yet I'm telling you now to cast your mind 10 years forward and you'll go, that was all right, but I'll find a reason why that happened, but it won't happen again, right? Like house prices will never go up. They'll never go up. Who made that? Well, none of you are old enough to make a mistake when there was gazumping, did you? If you did make a decision in the morning, the house had gone up in the afternoon. Anyway, make a clear mental image of what you want, not what you think you can get. And don't put money in it. Because 10 years ago, £1,000 was a lot different to £1,000 today. So if you'd have put £1,000 in your image 10 years ago, you'd have limited yourself. Because the £1,000 10 years ago is about 18 grand a day. Do you see what I'm saying? So don't make it based on money. Make it based on what you want, and the magic will happen. Right. Then the next thing, where a lot of you might be making a mistake, is you've got to make where you are where you want to be. Okay? It's no use, like a lot of people say, well, I'll just go without that for now, because in the future, I'll make it all right. It don't happen. Because if you're a miserable bastard now, you will be a miserable bastard in the future. It don't matter how much money you get, because you've got to take your happiness with you. Okay? You can't store it or say I'll be happy when. You're either happy or you're not happy. So you've got to be happy now. Make sense? So you're not sort of saying I'll forego this until I get here. You're saying I'm going to be happy now and it's all going to happen. And the other thing is, the biggest thing that I had to come to terms with the guy that nicked my business, because I was pinned to the ground for 2 years. I couldn't move. I just could not do a thing. I was so stressed and everything I'd done. Who's been in that situation where you're grabbing at everything and you get home at night and all of a sudden you're knackered and you say, what have I achieved? Nothing! Because you're not doing anything properly. And the last thing you want to hear is some silly old bastard come up and tell you to relax. What? Relax? You know what I've been through? Everything starts once you relax and you start looking at things properly, right? And I always say to my clients, do less and earn more. And I ain't never failed yet, because I can always look and see them running around like blue-ass flies, achieving nothing. You know the guy in the office with the folder? Nothing in it. Excuse me, I'm very busy. Where's it? Have you seen Alan? Rushing around, right? Got nothing to do, he's just making him look busy. That's no good, right? Write this down. Efficient action. Action's no good. You've got to be efficient with it. So, look at the past, and I had to look at this geezer who nicked my business. And what I was doing every morning, I was getting up and said, what I'd do, I'd chop his arm off and hit him round the head with it. Or could I do, all the horrible things I wanted to do with him every day. But that was getting me in a good mood, wasn't it? I'll get up every morning and instead of saying, what a lovely day, what shall I achieve today? I was going, what can I do today? For 2 years, right? So what you've got in the past here, you normally bring forward as an excuse for today. Oh, it would have been all right, but I had a divorce settlement. Oh yeah, how long ago was that, mate? 10 years. 10 fucking years ago, and you're still dragging it round with you? Yeah, but it was unjust. Get real. So, everything in the past, this is a rucksack. And every time something goes wrong, you blame that. And the rucksack gets heavier and heavier and heavier until you've got such a big weight on your back, you can't make any progress. So get rid of all that rubbish in the past. It is not serving you. Make where you are where you want to be, then the magic happens. Now, who's ever said, I wish I'd been in the right place at the right time? Everyone. Now, the reason you can't be in the right place at the right time is because you've got no direction. Anywhere you are, it do, won't it? Anywhere, it don't matter. Look, you get over here, this is where most of you are at the moment, see? Anywhere it do. U-turns, cul-de-sacs, dead ends, it don't matter. But if you know where you're going, you can get back on track. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you've got to know where you're going and you'll always get back on track. Always ask yourself the question when you do something, does this get me closer to my CMI? Simple. If it doesn't, forget it. It's like a filtering system, isn't it? Right? Everything, it doesn't, because normally you go around and be collecting, oh, that's a bit of an opportunity. Oh, a J.D. Davis badge, I want one of them at the bottom. And you get at the end of the night, and you've got all this rubbish, but it's got no relevance to what you want to do. You start collecting anything, just in case. Who's got a loft? Who's got all the stuff up there just in case I need it? The cup with a broken handle, right? And all the things, like the torn t-shirt, oh, I'll use that for gardening. Rubbish, get rid of it, have a clear out, don't put things down. So, trust me now when I tell you this. This is as simple as I can make it. There's a lot of things around it, but that is as simple. Know where you're going, make where you are where you want to be, and get rid of all the shit in the past, and it will serve you. Be happy where you are, and the magic happens. That happens. Like that. Don't ask me how, because I don't bloody know, but I just know it does. And I've dealt with thousands of people in the last 25 years, and the only people that fail, guess what? They go with plan A. They go with A. If you go with B, trust me, I'm medically trained, you cannot fail to get to where you want to go. Providing you do want to actually get here, right? You will get there. Trust me. Don't shortchange yourself when you get up there. How long have I got?
1 minute.
Just exactly enough time to say that if you want to hear a story, the full story about what happened to Mike, it's in that book, right? The letter I wrote him and all the bits and pieces. The little advert, this is, I'm going to admit this is an advert, we've got a workshop here on the 5th of December where you can learn everything, and on one day I'm going to download everything I know to get you thinking B. That's as simple as it gets, B, right? My name's Croz Crossley, I'm the mindset technician.